Hey and welcome, I'm Hammeh and some big Overwatch news for you today. It is a bit of a leak, but finally it has been confirmed Role Q and Role Lock, it seems, are coming to Overwatch. Now in what form we'll find out later, but here I'll share you how this is being confirmed and my thoughts on what this might mean. Timecodes in the description if you want to skip. So if you watch the Overwatch League, you might be familiar with the show Watchpoint, speculating about before and analysing after all of the weekly Overwatch League action. They also have specials on the Overwatch League website where they talk about big announcements. And earlier today on the Overwatch League website, a special was leaked that looked to be releasing either tonight or later this week. It is all about surprise, surprise, Role Q and Role Lock indeed. Role Lock specifically for the Overwatch League. So without further ado, here's the clip. Thanks to Dr. Doc for the Reddit thread share, that's linked in the description below, and NCCC Cajun for the screen that we use.
With Role Q coming to Overwatch shortly, as the team just announced earlier today, we thought it was really important to bring it to Overwatch League as quickly as we could.
So there you go, an interview with Mike Forte and John Spector of the Overwatch League. Now, do note the way that this was presented. The announcement was happening that it's coming to Overwatch, and the Overwatch League, in their words, wanted to take it on and adapt it as quickly as possible. This means with these pre-records, it's all ready to go. There had been some semi-hints on various Overwatch League broadcasts earlier this week that something might be happening today, that is Thursday the 18th. And given that the Summer Games has just gone live, I think this is probably a 1-2 punch announcement. The Summer Games has gone live in its current form with Lucio Ball again and the cosmetics. People have been talking about, is this enough for Event and Similar? And then we come in with the massive competitive update and news. So we can see what the Overwatch team has been working on. If there's been maybe a bit less or the same time on the Summer Games, then this is where time has been going in the last few months. So I'm excited for that, makes perfect sense to me, all well and good. Now, as a super quick roundup of where this has come from, it's no massive secret at this stage. It has been in rumouring for the last couple of months. In the actual full or mostly full version of this video that I have, there are discussions that this change has been in the making for a few months. The teams of the Overwatch League have been involved on the Overwatch League side of things. And of course, both from a Overwatch game perspective and an Overwatch League perspective, this has been something that Blizzard and the community have been talking and thinking about for quite some time. So how is this actually going to work in game for us on a day-to-day competitive level? Well, we can have a quick sneak preview from this screenshot showing how it's going to work in Overwatch League. With all compositions being 2-2-2, players cannot change roles during a map, but they can change heroes within the role. Well, that makes sense. And the rest of the points being specific to the Overwatch League experience. Now, I have won and lost many games of Overwatch without having 2 damage dealers, 2 tanks and 2 supports. And I know that there will be a bunch of people who think, is this 100% necessary? I think it's certainly worth trying, as it's something that has been certainly a commonly voiced community sort of thought, as well as something that Blizzard have thought about for quite some time. The ability to sort of smooth off that in-game experience so that the composition in and of itself is going to be solid. I know a few people are concerned about not being able to have that flexibility, variety, changes in composition, tweaks that have probably won. I know I've won many games by changing to a third DPS occasionally, things like that, but this is kind of a competitive, I guess, baseline. And let's not forget the history of Overwatch. Like, given Overwatch is 3+ years now, do you remember, did you play Overwatch personally when you could have multiples of the same hero? And you would often see 2 Winstons and 2 Lucios on a team as 4 out of your 6 heroes. A big shout to you originals in the comments below if you've been playing Overwatch since then. I certainly remember that. I remember my competitive Season 1 and pre-season and all that madness. I'm sure if Pepperidge Farm played Overwatch, you would certainly remember too. Anyway, my general point here is that Overwatch is ever continuously evolving. And if you think about the Overwatch League side of things, GOATs has been a thing, 3 tanks, 3 supports, and that anything that happens in pro play, the Overwatch League, people see with content creators on the streams, of course, filters into the regular game, whether it's the most effective thing for people playing at a particular rank or not. This is a change that has been talked about in Overwatch itself for quite some time, and it's had impact on the Overwatch League certainly over the last year. So this is a change I think that benefits everyone, and it's definitely worth a go. I just wanted to give the context of remembering when Overwatch could have multiple of the same hero on a team, because Overwatch has continuously been evolving over the course of its 3+ year life cycle so far, and it will evolve again. So I would see this not as the be all and end all if you're concerned about this, but as a step on the journey of where Overwatch is moving to, changing as a game to keep it feeling fresh, giving us different things to try. Now, like it or loathe it, exciting damage dealing DPS play is certainly something that is visually very, very cool to watch in Overwatch, whether you're looking at your own replays or whether you're watching the Overwatch League. And this change is certainly going to unlock a lot of the players who have maybe been benched or played a lot less over the last season because of the GOATS triple tank, triple support meta. Our Fletters, our Pines are all going to be unlocked and unleashed again, and I can't wait for that. So, what is this actually going to look like in game? Well, it has been mentioned in talks about this kind of thing in the past from the Overwatch team that they might see role-specific SR as being a way to go. So, although there is going to be a composition lock, as it were, in the Overwatch League, I think what's going to happen is that we'll jump into game, we'll be asked if we can queue as tank, as support, or as DPS. We will most likely, I would imagine, get a role-based SR, a tank SR, support SR, and DPS SR. And I would imagine that at the end of the season, your rewards will be judged based on your highest SR out of those three, for example. If you have a different matchmaking rating for each of those as well, that would be so good. Like if I'm matchmaking rated, my SR and things base, of course, where I'm dumped into a game. So this is quite complicated. It's effectively taking one player and giving them almost three separate profiles. You know, your damage dealing profile, your tank profile, and your support profile. This is speculation at this point, by the way, but I'm very sure, I think that given that this is leaked now, we'll probably see some news in the next day or two on this, with more details as to how this is actually going to work for us in a game of Overwatch when it arrives. As for when it could be coming, well, eagle-eyed people over the last couple of days have noticed that the amount of days remaining in-game in the Overwatch client for the current competitive season got reduced from like 40 plus days to about 26, 25 plus days. Well, there you go. I think that we're going to see the end of our current in-game competitive season, and then we might have an off-season period, or it might be a short one, and then we'll see this new system coming in kind of in parallel with the end of Stage 4 of the Overwatch League. So we are going to probably see for the next 3-4 weeks the Overwatch League Stage 4 2019 being played in this format, and the teams have been preparing it for a couple of months, and then we'll get to play it probably mid to late August, I'd imagine, probably the later end of August. So there is the news. Now, either way, this is a huge change for Overwatch Competitive. I'm excited to see how this will work out. I'm glad that Blizzard are taking bold moves on this. This is something that people have talked about in the community and elsewhere for quite some time, and let's see how it goes. It's a step on the journey of evolution and change of what Overwatch is as a game that will be for many, many years to come. So in the scheme of things, I think this is a great thing to try. Just as a final thought, this is not going to be a magic bullet. It's certainly not going to magically teleport me up a couple of ranks, for example. There might be, just might be, an SR, MMR or something, soft reset or some kind of reset, so be prepared for that. But again, there's not going to be a magic bullet for like this game where there's a random lever on my team. It's not going to stop people not necessarily being the best in the role that they're locked into. So this isn't going to solve everything, but it's going to give a solid base, I think, to seeing how Overwatch could be, and maybe make the experience more consistent for people, and maybe make people feel that at the beginning of the game, at least, they're going to be set up in a way that gives them a reasonable shot at success, not feeling that perhaps the game is going to be a tough one even before the gates open. Will you be playing more competitive now that this happens? How do you feel about this? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Does this make things better for you? Are you concerned that it's going to restrict gameplay? Do you think on balance this is going to make games feel on a bit more of an even footing perhaps to start with, taking out some of the randomness in terms of the randomness of what your team composition might look like? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks so much for tuning in. Throw a like, subscribe if you enjoyed this. Do check out all of my Overwatch lore, voice line interaction and other videos in the playlists here. If you're a lore and otherwise fan and everything to do with the world of Overwatch, thanks for your patience. I'm working on some new videos about Overwatch, other Blizzard games and others that will be coming soon. Thanks to my patrons on Patreon who make my videos possible. If you'd like to see how you can support the channel, check out patreon.com/Hammeh. Cheers for tuning in. I've been Hammeh. Take it easy.